Hey, HR friends, welcome back. We're in the 4-7 emotional 6.5 day sequence. We're going to talk about day five. Day five is right here in this white rectangle. Now, we always start out by talking about the unseen pattern of polarity moment. When we broke this mathematical construct, what it allowed us to do is map out this electromagnetic pattern. Now, it's super important to understand this pattern, and it's also super important to understand our design. You see, we're designed to be defensive. And when this pattern elevates, it agitates us. These electromagnetic agitations actually get us to act defensively. It manipulates our choices. And it manipulates us to do one of two things. It's either going to make us try to avoid our problems, or it's going to make us stand up for our problems and fight for them in ways that make them worse. You see, we have a fight or flight reflexive system of control. Now, when this pattern reaches a 4 and stays at a 4 and elevates and holds at a 4 or goes above, it's really going to activate our defensive design. Does that mean that it's not going to be activated when it's lower? No, it is. It's easier to stay calm. It's easier to work through your tension. And when we do this, we separate this electromagnetic pattern out into first person and third person. First person is all the people you have in your life, the people you see on a day to day basis. Third person, that's the bigger picture items that we all invest in and what we want to, as individuals, see happen at the larger level. Now, those are the stress that we have. And then we put those two things together to show you what's happening in the combined. Now, in day five, I've got good news for you. We barely get to the 4. You can see we reach it here, we reach it in the middle, and a little bit as the next sequence starts. But all in all, this is a pretty calm sequence. You can see third person's laying down pretty good. There's a little bit of agitation here in the middle in first person, but overall, this has been a pretty relaxing sequence. Okay. Now, this electromagnetic pattern is designed to trick us. It's trying to stop us from doing the overall objective. So again, very important to understand this sentient space-time construct. Once we saw what this math was doing, once we understood the construct inside and out, we can now clearly show you what it is we're supposed to be doing. Now, the problem is this. We're designed to be defensive. We're designed to argue with one another. So what we haven't done is get along as a family. That's the first part of the objective. You see, we're all born into families. We just didn't realize all our families were supposed to be getting along. And the reason we haven't been getting along is, again, is our defensive nature. So what we've done as families and individuals for thousands of years is we've tried to compete. We've tried to ensure that our future generations that we care about are going to have an advantage or a leg up. And when everybody does that, what that does is it causes division at this larger level. Now, we've tried to make this as simple as possible. You see, there are frequencies that make our existence possible. And what we've done is we've divided these frequencies up to the quadrants of your body that they connect to. They're connected to every sentient being in this experience. And if you're in balance with these frequencies, you get positive feedback. If you're out of balance with these frequencies, you get negative feedback. So, in order to get positive feedback and to stay healthy and to slow the aging process and ensure you're not getting future states of disease, this is what you have to do. You have to commit to getting along with your team. You have to overcome your defensive nature. You have to cooperate, communicate, and help your teammates alleviate stress, but also help them focus on the other bigger part of this objective, which is our routines. We have to balance them. Not just one or two members of our team, every member of every team needs to start balancing their routines. And when they invest in strategies that are going to help their family, it also needs to help every other family that exists just as much as it helps theirs. If they're going to invest in individual strategies, same thing. You got to make sure that what you're putting in time to help you is going to help the people around you just as much. At the national level, same thing. When we invest in our nations, we have to build our nations up, lift them up, but we also have to lift the other nations up we share this world with. And when we balance our nation, when we balance our families, when we balance our individuals, what's going to happen is it won't matter where the future generations are born in this world. They're all going to come into a world that's peaceful and prosperous because it's balanced. Now, that's the objective. There's no anything else. That's just what this is. Now, if you don't do it, this is what happens. If you're out of alignment with these frequencies, meaning you don't get along with certain members of the team, you don't respect them, you don't think it's important, or you're not balancing your routine where your routines are helping you more than it helps the people around you. The more unbalanced your choices are, and the more unbalanced your relationships are, the more unbalanced your body becomes. There's a huge reward you need to understand. If you commit to getting along with every member of every team and you change your routine, meaning tomorrow is not going to look like today, okay? Everybody's going to have to change what they're doing and everyone's going to have to reinvest in this team approach, which means everyone's routines are going to drastically change. Now, if you're willing to do that and you do it till your last day in this simulation, what happens is this. When you die, you'll transition into a positive feedback loop. You see, space time reality has a negative and a positive side. We disclose this on our website. We show exactly how this math works, and we are showing you the path to get out of the negative feedback loop. If you don't balance your choices, if you don't get along with team members, when you die at the end of this simulated experience, you'll come right back into this negative feedback loop and do it until you decide to change your mind. That's just how this works. I'm sorry. And we can prove this to you. That's what day 5 is all about here. So, what we've done is we've zoomed in day 5, and we really want you to know where the electromagnetic peaks are going to happen, and we synchronize the times of the day with these peaks. Now, we've done this with all 24 time zones. So, to find your time zone offset, you come down here. Once you have the proper offset, this holds for 10 seconds. Screenshot it. If you've got great internet, don't even worry about screenshot on this. Go to our homepage, healthreconnected.com. We have a live feed set to universal time. All you do is hit play. It shows a time bar. It shows exactly where we are in this sequence. When you get defensive, when the people around you get defensive, I promise you, you start referencing this and you're going to see that time bar is going through these peaks, which is going to let you see that you're being manipulated. That's the first way this construct tests you. And if you allow this to manipulate your defensive design, you lose. You age faster, you get disease, and you do this some more, which is a negative feedback loop, which means you learn by suffering. Now, this isn't too stressful of a day, meaning this pattern isn't really going to activate us, so it's not going to be as difficult here. You can see in the first 12 hours, there's a bump up in first person, as well as in the second 12 hours, there's a bump up in first person. And we get to a 4 and we get a little bit above a 4, but for the most part, we're pretty smooth here today. All right. Now, the second way we can prove that you're in a space time reality are alignments. Alignments are when two frequencies come together and they amplify for a specific moment of time and duration. And the duration shows you how long those two frequencies are going to be amplified when they happen together. They're synchronized. And a purple alignment, well, that has to do, are your routines balanced? The blue alignments, that has to do if you're getting along with your teammates. So when the time bar goes through and you start to feel something in your quadrant. So for example, we're going to start with this. This is the PE. It's a time alignment. So it's testing to see how balanced your routines are. It's right here. Now, this is going to test the upper quadrants of the body. So it wants to know if your routines at the national and the world level are contributing at an equal and balanced level. So if you're not contributing to a national and world level, what does that mean? It means that not only are you helping your nation, but you're also investing in strategies that are going to help and all the other nations in the world. It also has something to do with conserving resources and making sure that we're going to take the effort and do the things to make sure that future generations have better climate instead of what we've been giving future generations, which is deteriorating climate. This is going to require big changes in your day-to-day routine. And the more you're willing to do that, and the more you're willing to get in alignment with those frequencies, the better these quadrants are going to do. If you're out of balance, the more out of balance you are, and the worse you're leaving future generations off, the more damage you're going to experience up here. That's just how that works. So when the time bar goes through this alignment right here, and you start to feel things amplify, like a headache come on, or your sinuses stuff up, or whatever it is that's not so pleasant, and it's happening while that time bar is right here and it's affecting the upper quadrants, that's negative feedback. There are no accidents. In space-time reality, it's either negative or positive, and you choose by your choices with how you get along with people and how well you balance your routines. It's that simple. So the next one we're going to look at is this ME. This is a 3.25-hour alignment. It's going to specifically put pressure on the left lower quadrant if you're out of balance with your smaller routines. Smaller routines meaning how do you contribute at the individual and family level? If you're unbalanced, where you're doing more for your individual self or your family, and you're not doing as much for the other people, the more out of balance that is, the more you're going to feel it down here in this left quadrant. Now, this is a pretty long alignment. I expect people are definitely going to feel some things in here if they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing. These governing frequencies are in control. I'm sorry you had to hear it this way, but now you're going to understand why your low back fires up, or why digestion gets out of balance during that time, or why your ankle or your knee starts to hurt during that period of time. This is what's trying to help you. It's trying to talk to you. It's trying to explain to you, hey, you got to balance. If you don't, there's a penalty. There's a punishment. All right, let's keep going here. We're going to talk about the ME. All right, so this ME now, this is on the space side. So this is testing to see how well we're getting along with our teammates, specifically the older teammates on our team. So if it's the yellow or the green color, these are the mature teammates, the mothers and fathers. Now, are you able to communicate, cooperate? Can you work out stress with them, help them work out their stress, take their advice? Understand how to communicate and balance with them so that you're balancing routines with them that are going to leave this place a better place. If you're doing that, great. If you're not doing it, the more out of balance you are with mature members, whether you're younger or older members, the more you're going to feel it in your upper quadrant, and specifically during this alignment, your left upper quadrant. All right, the last one we're going to talk about is this ME. This is an hour and a half alignment. Now, this is the strongest alignment of the day, but it's not the longest. This ME is going to test to see how well we get along with the younger teammates. Same thing. Anytime it's a teammate, you got to be able to talk, cooperate, communicate, help them work out their stress, and help them understand the importance of executing balanced routines on a day-to-day basis. That's the team objective. You want to strengthen the team, you want to be part of the team, that's what you got to do. You don't do that, the more you don't do it, the more you're going to hurt in these lower quadrants during that time. That's how this works. Now, these alignments are low-hanging fruit. This is when we can point out why pain really flares up, why you get a headache, or why you get a trigger point, or whatever it is that comes on and then seems to go away. Now, don't get me wrong, you're being tested 24/7. If you're not balancing these relationships and you're not balancing these routines, your body is in a constant state of damage. That's what causes aging. If you were wondering why we all age and why some people age faster than others, it just has to do with how well we get along with our team and how much we're committed to the team objective. And because we didn't know this, there are a lot of people out there that have kind of lost their way and have definitely not been contributing at the team level. All right. So now we're going to talk about testing sequence. Testing sequence is pretty easy to understand. Okay. So if there's more than 4 frequencies in a quadrant at any period of time, that's a pretty heavy test load. If it's less than 4, not so much. Now you can see that the left upper in the beginning here is at 4 and then drops off in the second 12 hours. Same thing with the right upper, pretty strong and then drops off in the second 12 hours. It's the opposite in the lower quadrants. You see how it's at 4 and then jumps up in the left lower quadrant? Same thing here. It's at a 2 and then jumps up to a 4. So in the first 12 hours, if you feel more in your upper quadrants, and then all of a sudden in the second 12 hours, you start to feel more in your lower quadrants, it's just because the test loads are heavier. That's how important these guides are. And again, use our live feed. The time bar will show you exactly where we are in this sequence. All right, so these 2 graphs right here show you where the strongest frequencies of the day in this 24-hour period are. And there are 10 of them that we post. Now, when you look at this, you can see there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on the left side, which means there's 1, 2, 3, 4 on the right side. Now, there's no frequencies first person in the upper right quadrant, but there are 2 macro frequencies in third person. So in this next 24-hour period, if you get upper right quadrant pain that goes on for the entire 24 hours, these aren't moving, okay? That indicates right out of the gate that you're having problems balancing your national and world routines. That's what it means, and it's specifically going to affect your right upper quadrant. Now, the other ones have overlap. So when there's overlap, we want you to really pay attention to what you feel and when you feel it, because we can actually use our software to discern and show you exactly where you'd want to focus first to get your body doing as good as possible. Don't overcomplicate this, though. Again, it's just about getting along with your teammates, and it's just about balancing your routine. And the sooner you do that, the sooner you won't need any of these graphs. You'll start to feel better all the time, and you won't have to wonder why things are moving all over the place and why one day you don't feel so good and the next day it's a little better. All right, let's end this out. So this is the summer and the fall guide. The rest of 2024's electromagnetics are posted. You got no more excuses. When this pattern rises, tension rises, weather events will increase. That's how this works. We're showing all our individuals what this pattern is because we're empowering you to overcome it. The first thing you want to do is understand this pattern so you eliminate the stress in your life and the people around you. Now, 1 or 2 people doing this, that's not going to change anything. We get regions or nations of people eliminating their stress, knowing that this pattern's coming, using their free will, overcoming their defensive design, and not getting mad, not being destructive, but instead being cooperative, working out their problems and encouraging people to change their routines. We don't have to go up and down. What we can do is we can smooth this pattern out and create a stable environment for all of us. But that can't happen until people, 1, understand this pattern, and then 2, overcome their defensive mechanism because this pattern is manipulating it. This pattern is creating the organized chaos that's making this so difficult for all of us. The more of us that commit to overcoming this pattern, the better it gets for all of us. That's what we're here to help you do. All right. That's it for this 24-hour segment. We'll see you in the next one.